August 27, 2022. I'm gathered here with Michael in Germany, and we are approaching the Science is the New Religion script. We are on session 89, and it has to do with atom. Fourth session we've done on the atom. Michael, welcome. Thank you for putting this material together for us.
Yeah, hello, Brett. Let me first excuse myself for asking for such an early session in the morning. But I have some plans for the afternoon, and so that it's great that we can be together once again for that script on the Science is the New Religion series. To present you some interesting things that from there on you can start your own research. Then maybe it's much better that you can choose what you want to do with your spare time on your own. Because it's just a very interesting item, this atomic theory and all the nuclear plants and all the things. And so from a general point of view, I'd say you're better off when you have some interesting keywords that you can start your own research from there. So you don't have to actually start from scratch. So this is the fourth session. And now, once again, I said, okay, we have to train, or I have to train myself not to fall for all the lies and especially the fear-mongering that they put upon us so that they can easily control us into believing that they are the only one in power who can save us in the end, and nobody can save us in the end but Jesus Christ. Right, Brett?
Right.
Yeah. So this special bulletin of the atomic scientists, so the believers in the atom theory, they say it's just about 100 seconds to midnight. So there are two threats, nuclear weapons and climate change. Yeah, I say there are none of these, none of both, none of the above. But this is just a little bit of repetition from last time. So let's get it on. All these so-called famous scientists nowadays, they are being promoted by the powers to be, PTB, or who to say. The science is just the science which been taught that the powers to be wants you to know, or in better terms, wants you to believe. It is a science church, actually.
Right.
That means
it's like their theology or their dogma or something.
Mm-hmm. And that's also a key to understand, Brett, that we are not dealing with an absolute truth here. We are dealing with relativity, special relativity.
Just like Einstein purported to us many years ago. Relativity, that's right.
Yeah, and that's also the key thing to understand, that Albert Einstein was just the right man for the right time for the powers to be, but he was not a prophet of truth or something like that. He was almost the opposite of it. So that means that only these people were pushed in front of the television, newspapers, or media in general, but there is no thing as absolute truth in science. Yeah, it is dependent on age, on dogma, on country even. Yeah, so that is very interesting and very key to understand, that they are just putting on some dogmas on us that we shall not ask certain questions, because it is out of question for many people to question things like the theory of relativity or gravity or the heliocentrical standard model. Yeah, it's out of question for people because they say, oh, no, it has been proven by science. Yeah, but what is science and who are these scientists? Yeah, it is not that the majority of people does not have it right, but the majority of people, according to the Bible, does have it wrong, according to the broad way leading to destruction. So that what you think you know, it is just a belief system, and that we would show on Albert Einstein, for example. Yeah, so his theory was being so-called proven by the sun's gravity bends starlight. Yeah, and when you know that gravity has not been proven yet, yeah, you see it's hilarious. But you see that one lie has been proven with another lie, or one theory upon another theory, which I said in the last session about these Russian dolls, one doll, another doll, another doll, another doll. Yeah, but you don't have any content, and you don't have any truth. Yeah. And so that I started my research with thinking about Albert Einstein, because he was involved in the nuclear science, so-called. Yeah, and that's also my problem with it. You see that in this famous formula E equals mc square, it's also matter. Yeah, so matter matters. Yeah, it is just the same thing with the atomists. What they just want to exclude God, and it's the same with this formula, which I have not promoted here, of course. But the thing is that this Albert Einstein has his so-called wonder year in 1905. Yeah, he published all these papers. And we know that these were not his papers, but he was being world famous, and he received a Nobel Prize in 1921, but not for the theory. Yeah, but for the photoelectric effects, so start of the quantum theory. So you can think of everything in quantum theory. It's just so much bogus in it that we have also covered in the conspiracy series, that hilarious talk between two so-called scientists about quantum gravity. Yeah, sure, it exists on one of both sides, but maybe it does not exist at all. And it was so hilarious, funny. Yeah, they don't know nothing. Yeah, they don't know anything, but especially they are so convincing because they have their titles and their status, and so the university granted them authority. Yeah, and so he has worked also on the Project Manhattan with Oppenheimer, and so therefore he was being granted that he could spend the rest of his life not in miserable Europe, where war was approaching, but in America, where all was silent and was peaceful. Yeah, and so when I started the first atomic bomb and the Trinity, yeah, hence the Roman Catholic Trinity, signed on July the 16th, it was been, now I become death, the destroyer of worlds, a famous quote from the Bhagavad Gita, in Indian so-called holy book. Yeah, so it is, of course, is a pagan deity. And usually they claim that they have dropped 2 atomic bombs in Japan, of course. So that makes a trinity, 1 atomic bomb test in United States and 2 atomic bombs in Japan. That makes 3 of them on August 6 and 9. Could be then 69, the number of cancer, because 69 is the symbol of cancer when you think of it in an astrological kind of way. Yeah. And that's just not my hilarious task, because, of course, he was with Zionists and Freemasons and all the stuff, just about atoms here. So they're all promoting this theory that universe only, or man especially, is just created out of dead matter. Yeah, because it has to fit all the other theories like the Big Bang and the evolution theory, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Would not make any sense. So then what do we have here? A famous picture of Albert the Great with his tongue sticking out like Kali, which is the destroyer god in India, and also with Charles Manson with a swastika even on top of his head, or a third eye, or what else. Yeah, so that is a resemblance of the snake, actually. Yeah, that's satanic. But people, they fall for it. And later on, Back to the Future, the crazy professor is like a kind of rip-off of Albert Einstein, huh? Yeah, there's so much we can go into, but I just can tell you that is coming from a website that I have a hard time with recommending, because they claim that Christianity is just another sun religion, because they don't get the fact, or they don't promote it actually, that Christianity is quite the opposite of Roman Catholicism or of sun religion. But the problem is that there are many, many, many fancy websites out there to lead you astray. Yeah, so that they claim you will tell everything about the occult and about the secrets there, but they put you away from the Bible, and that's what I try to avoid. Yeah, so this website is called allreligionsareone.org, and it's hilarious if you go there for general information about artists and so on, but actually they don't have any clue, and they do not promote, and therefore they are disinformation specialists, because you can't create that kind of a huge website just for the fun of it. Yeah, so there's a team behind it, I think, or there is somebody behind it who does not want to promote the truth, but they just want you to keep busy with all this esoteric stuff and all this artists. My intention for the satanic media, music agenda, and conspiracy, science, etc., is to keep you focused on the Bible, because if you don't have any basement, any foundation, how will you call something a lie or a truth? Yeah, you have to have a foundation. Yeah, so usually our pupils in the school are being taught that Albert Einstein was the genius. Yeah, and that is just indoctrination. It's just far from the truth. Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem also, because it is just so far from the truth that we know that he was using the works of Mr. He was using the translation of his wife, first of all, and then he was using the translation of Roger Boscovich, a Jesuit. It's very interesting when you think about something else which I found here by a certain Alexander Stephan. He said that the origin of the general theory of relativity, Sir Isaac Newton let time flow independently and absolutely. He placed the word on a theater stage he called ether, or the fifth element, which is more convenient to you, which he saw as being at the absolute rest. Roger Boscovich, the great Croat philosopher, a scientist of Jesuit order, was not happy with Newton's concept of absolute time and space, or an absolute. Yeah. You see that Roman Catholic Church and Jesuits have to get rid of absolutes. Boscovich talked about time as being relative, as St. Augustine, Aurelius Augustinus, long before him, had emphasized. So what that means is that just Albert Einstein is just a successor of Jesuitical and Roman Catholic theories or philosophies. Einstein has said there is no absolute rest, there is no ether, and according to the word is in relative motion. You see, that is all BS bogus to distract you away from the Bible, that you think of yourself as just being some stupid matter on an unimportant so-called planet. Yeah, and it's so far away from the truth. You are being created by God. You are being created in the image even of God. And you are here on an exclusive earth where vegetation is, where creatures are living, etc., etc., and we do not move. So everything that Einstein is promoting is false, or in better terms, or frankly spoken, it's a lie. He's a liar. In his theories, up to this very day, pupils are being taught theories. In his, Einstein's theories of relativity, he has shown that time is relative. It can be stretched and shrunk, and he pulled all that into the mathematical expressions of profound simplicity and beauty. Yeah, sure, you can come up with any theory you like. Yeah, so that was, for me, was very interesting, because then I knew that Roger Boscovich was not the inventor of that theory, but it was Augustine of Hippo, and he was living in the 4th to 5th century even.
Interesting time period, Michael.
Yeah, this was just after the so-called Christianity was being the official state religion in the Empire of Rome. Yeah, it's very interesting. You see that he was drawn to Magnesian faith and to Hellenistic philosophy of Neoplatonism. You see that they're mixing everything up. It's like Thomas Aquinas, with all this Greek philosophy. You see that that's the same kind of all these saints. Saint. Nobody's a saint. At least not when he's dead. Yeah, and he was then converted to Christianity, and I highly doubt that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, right. The saints are of the living Christ, and the Catholic saints are all dead. So what does that mean?
Yeah, yeah. He was seen as a doctor of the church, like Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Many Protestants, especially Calvinists and Lutherans, consider him one of the theological fathers of the Protestant Reformation. Yeah, you see that when you have received that he's mixing up everything, then I have a hard time believing that or supporting that. Yeah. So I don't know what Martin Luther has talked about and written about Augustine. And Luther was a member of the Order of the Augustinian, a religious movement of the Catholic Church. Oh, I didn't know that. This order has spread internationally the veneration of the Virgin Mary. Yeah, that's some of the negative things of Martin Luther, that he did not separate himself from this belief in Mary. Brett, can you
really?
Yeah, I think he was not condemning the Rosary or so.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit
he was
resting in his in the rest of his Catholic indoctrination also. Yeah, you see, the intention of reforming the Catholic Church is futile from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, and the website I've mentioned, allreligions.org, even mentioned Martin Luther as controlled opposition. Yeah, so that he was being used by the Pope to fulfill, so to speak, the prophecy. Yeah, you see, you can make up every theory. My problem with it is that when you know the Bible and the book of Revelation, you know that it's impossible to reform the beast.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It's time. It needs to flourish till its time is done.
Yeah.
It has a purpose, Michael.
Yeah.
You know, God's ways are not man's ways, right?
Yeah, but that was my intention to see that even Mr. Boskowitz was not the inventor of the theory, he was been studying old Roman Catholic philosophies. Yeah, and once again, this is a philosophy like the philosophy of atoms, of the atomists. Yeah, so we're talking about not Roger Boskowitz, 18th century, if I remember correctly, 18th, 19th century, but also about the 4th and 5th century here, about that theory that Albert Einstein came up with. Yeah, so it's all a theory about the Roman, or originated from the Roman Catholic Church, who used that theory, because that theory was not, of course, only valid in that period, but it just used the theory of just to exclude God. That's the purpose of actually every human philosophy, or actually every science nowadays. Yeah, science is not there to prove God. Science is there to disprove God. Yeah. So that just I wanted to point out. I don't want to have another session about general relativity or so, but I just wanted to show you that it's very interesting to go into this kind of guy, yeah, so to speak, Saint Augustine. Yeah, so it is very important to know that we've been fooled for thousands of years, actually, hundreds of years at least.
Yeah, that's right.
So think of it, Brett, how long this article on Wikipedia is. Yeah, you see that, oh yeah, they think that he's such an important guy, huh? Look at that, how long that article on Wikipedia actually is. Yeah, so that he is one of the church, yeah, the doctors. So he is one of the highest one. Yeah, and so then compare that, please, with all the atomists, and then when you know that Albert Einstein has met Georges Lemaitre, the so-called founder of the Big Bang, so of the so-called theory of the Big Bang as the origin of everything. And not God, of course. It's coming from a Catholic, not Jesuitical, but a Catholic priest called Georges Lemaitre from Belgium. And these two have met at Caltech in the United States, speaking of Einstein and Georges Lemaitre. And that's a book coming from Georges Lemaitre with the title The Primeval Atom. Atom. Yeah. You see, all these people are working hand in hand with the Roman Catholic doctrine or philosophy, so to speak. Remember that this absolute relative motion and time was originated by Saint Augustinus and then handed over to, or been modified, so to speak, from Roger Boskowitz, and then being used by Milena Einstein, and then being handed over to Albert Einstein, and he was then a world famous guy who came up with a theory which originally was being used by the Roman Catholic Church 1,600 years ago, or 1,500 years ago. But can you imagine that this all has been in the Vatican archive somewhere? Yeah, they are just fooling us into putting some people out in front, like puppets on a string, like an Albert Einstein, when these people are just only there to promote their Roman Catholic doctrine, which is a doctrine of devils, because it has nothing to do with the Bible. It has nothing to do with God, with the Creator God, with the divine being, etc., etc. And I've said to myself, oh, that's very interesting that Georges Lemaitre wrote a book on the primeval atom. What's it all about? Well, another title of that, another print of it I found, it's called A Hypothesis of the Origin of the Universe. So that means, Brad, that George Lemaitre was an atomist.
Right.
And that's just a hypothesis, it's a proportion, an
Hypothesis.
estimation. Yeah, so it's another theory. These people are nothing else than putting out theories. Yeah, and the foreword in one of the in that very book, it's about cosmic radiation and Canon or Lemaitre has presented one view as to its possible origin. His arguments have stood the test of the critical onslaughts of 20 years. Huh? Yeah, what I just wanted to express here, that is just another guy called this Mr. Lemaitre here, had some arguments and he was just putting out possibility and theories and a hypothesis. That's his own word, the hypothesis, sorry. Yeah, and there's also one word mentioned here, which I'm just about to search at the moment. Ah, here. Yeah, you see that. The translators felt that since the alternative hypotheses have already appeared in American journals, Lemaitre, so Big Bang inventor, so to speak, ideas ought equally to be available in this country. So Lemaitre's ideas. Yeah, so everybody can come up with an idea that maybe the universe was being created by pink rabbits. Yeah, coming from a star with I don't know. You see that it's just bogus here. That's just Lemaitre's ideas. Yeah, perhaps possibilities, blah blah blah. It's just a hypothesis. Yeah. And I just thought, okay, then I will try to get it on, because Georges Lemaitre is a studied priest of the Roman Catholic Church. And he is the inventor of the Big Bang. And I said, okay, then I take that book, The Primeval Atom, and I look for the term of God. And I found God twice in that book. Once on page 32, the God of the armies, which has nothing to do with the God of the Bible, it seems. And the second time is even more hilarious. Kant, so a German philosopher, published it in part in 1763 under a rather extraordinary title which scarcely attracted the attention of astronomers, the only possible proof of the existence of God. So he's relying to another philosopher, Brad.
Ah, yeah, of course.
That's what the Roman Catholic,
yes.
Yeah, that's what the Roman Catholic Church is usually doing. Think of Thomas Aquinas.
Right.
My. And that's, of course, when I was remembered about Colossians 2:8.
Yeah, right. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. Yeah, that's a very important verse.
Yeah, and then I just came up to a very interesting video. It's just in German, but I can do the translation, so to speak, in English, because it's just about also cool graphics, because it's just more easy to understand and to display than just a written word. So the Big Bang is a good example to understand that it's not science, but religion. The Belgian Jesuit, no, it is not Jesuit, it is Roman Catholic, Georges Lemaitre, has founded his theory of the Big Bang not on the basis of facts, but on a religion faith. Yeah, that's why you see that article from the newspaper here, 22nd of January, 1933, new theory of universe is given by priest scientists without God. With excluding God. So what kind of a church is he, Brad, when he's excluding God as the creator?
Yeah. Well,
it's a
for church.
Yeah, it's a religion of the snake, huh?
Yeah, right. It's the serpent, yes.
Yeah, this is and this is just the primeval atom hypothesis. Yeah, and when you depict somebody who has studied, yeah, in front of a classroom and with all these formulas, etc., yeah, people really thought that, oh yeah, that's a kind of a wise guy. Yeah, but it's just sounding scientifically, but it isn't. Yeah, yeah. Since 1951, the Roman Catholic Church is accepting that theory. Yeah, so 18 years later, 18 years, Brett. Yeah, after 1933, 18 years, 666 later.
You know, I gotta comment on this quick,
Yeah.
Michael. Since we're speaking about the scientists and especially a priest who's just happens to be a very well-studied scientist.
Mhm.
Well, you know, back early on in my life when I decided to pursue electronics, Michael, you're in electronics, so I have something in common with you. I went to school for electronics, and in school, the first thing we learned is you have to dress for success. That means you got to look good. So guess what? As long as you look good, people buy it. It's true with anything. Trying to sell something, you're going to sell this idea of a big bang and relativity and all that. Well, as long as you look good, guess what? You're going to be successful. People will buy it. And that's what they've done, haven't they, Michael?
Yeah, but it's kind of an advertisement. You see that you need the powers to be successful in this world. So that must be in line with their agenda.
Absolutely.
And therefore you get your good grades in school.
Yeah, that's right.
If you obey to the authorities, like in they live, yeah, if you just buy and consume and you don't question authorities, and so then you're better off. You get good grades and you get a decent job and you get a house and a car and what else?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So,
wife and of course a good position in the church.
Yeah, also, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just a theory, yeah? You see that it's all are based on a theory. The atomist is a theory and the Big Bang is a theory. And here you see now Albert Einstein together with Georges Lemaitre.
Ah, church and state.
Both members of the science church.
Well, yeah, see, that's how it works. You have the church teaching a doctrine that the state has what shall we say, what's the proper term to use here? It's too early in the morning for me, Michael.
Yeah, but they are both members of the science church. Yes, they are both promoting their ideas. Yeah, he's promoting Roman Catholic ideas and he's promoting Roman Catholic ideas. That's why they get along with that.
But they teach it in the state, Michael.
Yeah, okay.
Science
and they teach it everywhere.
All the
it's a global curriculum.
Yeah. So it's a new religion. Yeah, that's kind of the whole premise of our whole series that you've put together for us, right?
Yeah, that is a religion. Science is a religion.
Absolutely.
It never was independent because you need much money to buy decent tools for your examination. Yeah, telescopes, microscopes.
But Michael, science can also be the creation too. See, that's the point here. And that's what they've extracted from the truth, really, is that they've taken the Bible out of the schools a long time ago, so they had to replace it with something, didn't they? Yeah, that's what they.
Yeah, that's the alternative religion is the scientific religion, or you believe in medicine. Yeah, you believe in hygiene. That's also an old goddess. Yeah, the goddess of hygiene.
Taking the truth and replacing it with a lie.
Yeah, everybody, no one can believe nothing. Yeah, you see, you have to believe something. Yeah, you can believe in God or you can't believe it, or you do not believe in God. But if you do not believe in God, that's also a kind of belief. Yeah, so then you are atheist or agnostic or what else? Yeah, but you have to believe in something. Yeah, if you ask somebody, what do you think how the universe has been created and mankind? Yeah, you will get an answer. Most likely, people will tell you, yeah, it all just happened randomly as the Big Bang. Yeah, that is how enormously successful that theory out of Belgium, where it was a head. Main capital of Jesuits are in Belgium, also the head of the European Union. Yeah, and these tools are yeah, in the same spirit, in the Antichrist spirit. Yeah, it not had not. It just it's just logical to me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So the narrator says, okay, that was the time of 18 years was been explained as about the resistance, not of the Pope, but on the population. Yeah, but after the Second World War, so hence that they came up with the theory in 1933 when Hitler took over in Germany. So the Third Reich began for 12 years. Then in 1951, finally, the Pope or the papacy agreed on the theory of the Big Bang. And therefore, you can imagine that it found its way into the textbooks. Yeah, and so it was not about the resistance of the Pope, but the resistance of the population. So they needed one generation. So let's mean also 18 years to get rid of the old conviction that it has been created by a divine being. Yeah, and so being the Jesuits, being a sun religion also, or a pagan god, and all the sunbursts, and 36 sunbursts, which then adds up 666, of course. Yeah, and the three nails about the Trinity, and the three nails where Jesus Christ have been nailed upon, and also a symbol for 666. All Trinity symbols are explicitly, and Saturn symbol in it, hidden, and in other kind of symbols. It's a sun religion, my. So it's a heliocentric system. So what you are learning or believing in the school, it is not science but a religion. Yeah, it is the Jesuitical science, which is a religion. It's a religion of the sun god. It's a solar system. We talked about that before. Yeah, and so that's also the Big Bang about the expanding universe. Yeah, that means the creation is not over, huh? Yeah, so we are just believing in kind of a science here, which is not a science, but it is more or less Hollywood. And it is not only Hollywood, it's just about a medium. Yeah, it's brainwashing by believing into, yeah, a circulating Earth. Yeah, and yeah, all the people are being together. Yeah, and they're promoting this blue planet. Yeah, spinning ball. Yeah, which has nothing to do with the spinning. Yeah, the only thing that's spinning is the people are spinning around. This is a very hilarious depiction here, I think. People are absolutely brainwashed, yeah, and dependent on the government's legislation and restrictions, how they can move along. Yeah, so they are not free. And even if they think they are free, they've been indoctrinated that they are free. They're absolutely not free because they don't question anything. They just believe everything or almost everything. Yeah, and so that is one of the pictures I really like about that video. Another picture is that which I used for I think it was the introduction of the Atom series. Up to now, I have to look for that lost floating on a ball in an infinite sea of space in 1302. I know in 1302, Brett, there was a paper book called Unam Sanctam. But I have not found it in Unam Sanctam, so I don't know what this is originated because there is no source mentioned here. It is just a part of a video, so I don't know who has made that and what the origin of that claim is, which I talked about. But the belief in a spinning Earth and a heliocentric system, you see, you have in many things, and the satanic symbols as well. Yeah, so people and especially children have been indoctrinated. Yeah, they have been indoctrinated and programmed. Yeah, for hours every day, for hours and then years. Yeah, what do you think is the outcome when you just approach somebody at the age of let's say 17 or 18 with the Bible? It says that's just been proven by science that it is not correct. Yeah, so that's a problem, because our children have been indoctrinated by the kindergarten and by the school. And the so-called originator from the theory of the atomists is Democritus, this Greek guy. He says the knowledge of truth is difficult since the perception through the senses is subjective. So there is no absolute truth, once again, Brad. And the reason is because for them only matter matters, because they have to exclude God or a divine being. That's why I said some times ago in German, I said that even Satanists are more honest than agnostics, because they even believe in God. Yeah, yeah, or in their God. Yeah, and taken from that conspiracy series, from that Houston speech that JFK was doing when he was running for president in 1960, they claim from the Catholic Encyclopedia, volume 11, page 696, the truth we proclaim under oath is relative and not absolute. So all the people who are claiming something is relative and not absolute, they are just about using or following or having the similar doctrine that the Roman Catholic Church has to get rid of an absolute state or an absolute doctrine or an absolute God and the Bible, because in the Bible God is absolute. He is almighty. Yeah, so he is absolute, Brad. That was coming here from the JFK sessions. Yeah. Yeah, so beware of all the scientists. These are, in my humble opinion, wolves in sheep's clothing, because it must be a very important matter to this wolves in sheep's clothing. I have just only found an edition of that verses from the ESV. That's why I said caution ESV, but it's not the quality of the verse, it's just the number of the wolf in sheep's clothing quotation in the Bible, which are 159, which are really a handful, yeah? Wolf in sheep's clothing. Beware of false prophets. Sheep's clothing. Yeah? Test the spirits. Not believe any spirits. Yeah? False apostles, deceitful workmen, disguising themselves. Yeah? So that means sheep in the midst of wolves. So you see that this world is absolutely hostile to Christians, and that's we have to keep in mind. So that
right, Michael, because the nature of Christianity is to die to the flesh. So you no longer don't really care about the flesh and all the things attached to it so much. So it's easy prey for these vicious predators all around us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just can't help themselves.
Yeah, but see,
it's like a psychopath, you know.
Yeah, see, it's that huge mentioning of false prophets. You see that, of course, they include also the school teachers and so-called scientists. Yeah, these are also false prophets. If they lead you astray from the true creation of the Bible, then these are false prophets. So your biology teacher is a false prophet.
There we go. There we go. The methods of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how
indoctrination. Indoctrination 24/7.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that. It's just in relation to false prophets. Yeah, the Bible is full of these warnings against false prophets, false apostles, deceitful workmen. Yeah.
Yeah, they're disguising themselves, all right.
Yeah, they are disguising themselves. They say that, oh yeah, he's a elaborate, studied doctor of a university. Yeah, of course, there are also very nice and smart people in the university. I don't doubt that. Yeah, but the problem is that they have to teach this satanic doctrine.
They have to teach false doctrine, yes.
Yeah, yeah, to make it in this world.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
and
so even if you
it's a dogmatic thing, you know. That's why you have so many different political pieces being written today, and they're all opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know that old saying, I don't need to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
like beep. Everyone's got one.
Yeah, that's even the problem in it. You see that. Yeah, let's give it here. Yeah, you see, you can so easily see how people are being deceived. Yeah, a rerun, moonwalk rerun. Dr. Werner von Braun, one of the leaders in American spaceflight program, took a walk on the moon as he strolled through an exact replica of the Apollo 11 moon landing after officially opened the exhibition at Atlanta's Southeast Fair. And of course, you can't see any stars. No, these are dropouts from the paper, really. These are not stars. My. What a world, huh? And people really don't get it, that it's just aluminium foil. And it will protect you from heat from I don't know how much temperature there is. Minus 200 to plus 200 in Celsius and what else. Yeah. You can so easily debunk all the stuff. Space Busters are doing it really great. Yeah.
Well, the problem is, Michael, when you present this to enough people and they start taking it seriously because they're too busy with all the other things they're doing in their life, they all believe it because they don't have enough time to really take a look at, well, what happens if it really was false?
Yeah, sure, because it just don't matter to them. The truth does not matter to people who are in the Antichrist spirit.
Well, not only that, it's even more subtle than that, because I believe, Michael, there are God's people amidst all of the lies here.
Yeah,
they've been deceived, and they need to snap out of it.
Sure, I wanted to continue my sentence. I want to say that many Christian believing people also will fall for the lie because they lack the time to make that kind of a research.
Yes, sure. Because when you do that, then you have to unravel everything else attached. And of course, as we know in this Roman world, the history of Rome is quite large. It's not small. It takes a great deal of time to go through all of the basics, so you have a basic understanding of how it works. So yeah, it's what can we say? Overwhelming to a new onlooker or a new student of this. It's overwhelming, and they oftentimes don't want to be able to withstand the rigors of everything that they must learn. There's no choice here. You have to learn this.
Yeah, and if you go down to the nitty-gritty of the not only on the atomic power, but also on the destructive side of that so-called technology, then you know that atom is the wrong explanation because there are subatomic parts, but that's not my point this time. It's just that you really see that people are getting, they are being fear-mongering the people. Yeah. So if you want to control the entire world, so therefore you have to bring people into the state of fear, and therefore they are just being, trying to manipulate the people into believing that they are more powerful because they have the majority of weapons. Yeah. So the mother of all bombs and the father of all bombs, and see, these are thermonuclear weapon. Yeah, and so that is the problem here, nuclear bombs, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, you see, they try to scare the people. There are just a handful of countries who are really officially owning these kinds of atomic bombs. But there's a big debate about these atomic bombs, and that's also just soon coming up. So this big bombs with a heavy destruction here, fire blast from the father of all bombs, and of course then America also came up with the mother of all bombs. You see, this is really silly, huh? It is really silly. But, and it's a big but, the majority of people, they really believe in that. Yeah, they believe in the theories. And the theory of an atomic bomb was recorded in H.G. Wells' The World Set Free, as a bomb that would continue to explode indefinitely. I have talked about it last time, in 1914, so at the beginning of the First World War. And of course, people have said that, oh yeah, that's an interesting theory, because it would end the war, and we would be the most powerful nation on the planet, which is not a planet. But we know from the Catholic Encyclopedia, thanks to the people here on the Houston Ministerial Q&A at JFK, they said, oh yeah, in the Catholic Encyclopedia, it says a false statement knowingly made to one who has not a right to the truth will not be a lie. So they are officially, they are allowed to lie. Yeah, it's very interesting. With all these bombs, it was the item to speak about the Cold War, about the nuclear threat between the United States and the Soviet Russia or Soviet Union then. Yeah, the fear of the nuclear conflict between the super states or superpowers. And there's a picture or a movie about it. It's called Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, about a possible threat and a possible pre-strike to the Soviet Union by a maniac guy, Dr. Strangelove, and it was been depicted here by Peter Sellers with 3 different characters, and it was also co-written by Stanley Kubrick. I said, I smell something. And it's not my point. My point is that they really have to love the bombs, yeah. So that the bomb is a good thing because it keeps peace, yeah. It brings peace, yeah. The bombs they are a threat to our enemies. So more bombs are getting into a safer state of all, yeah. And that's also my problem. Because last time I showed you a document. It says the Bikini Atoll nuclear tests were faked. Yeah, so there are many people who are studying these pictures, and they said, no, that can't be. Yeah, but that's not only my concern. Yeah, the soldiers are said to be 6 miles from the blast, so the beach at Bikini Atoll was about twice as close. You can watch the wind from the Nevada Trinity blast here. And it's very hilarious when you really think about some things which could also be made up by Photoshop, which we talked about that with the cat last time. Huh? So that was from last time, and I was just looking for a video which I have renamed today, but how? Yeah, so the atom bomb. Which atom bomb? Yeah, so we have to believe that these are so atomic bombs. Yeah. So 1945, when 2 components have crashed together with uranium, yeah, then out of a sudden a certain detonation shall occur. But the problem is that you can't prove that theory. Remember that this is a theory of atomists. Yeah. So if really something is exploding, yeah, you see something exploding, but it's not necessary the things that they tell you. Yeah. So everything they tell you can be fake because you can't prove it. It's just happening on a desert island on a Bikini Atoll. So how to prove anything? Because there's just is not enough population in it. Yeah. So that is very interesting to know that really these people are really coming up with their theories. Just. Let's set it on. Where is it? So when they were doing these explosions on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, on that Enola Gay airplane on Hiroshima, yeah, the city was devastated. There was so-called ground zero, so the impact of an atomic weapon, but it does not look strangely like an atomic weapon. Yeah, because it more looks like the fire bombs being thrown onto a German city called Dresden when they were murdering hundreds of thousands of people of real refugees there coming from the east. And nowadays, these numbers are being downplayed by German government. What was originally more than 300,000 victims in one night is now officially 20,000 or so.
Wow, really?
Yes, and my mother said also that she heard about it because it was during the time when she was
300,000 in one night.
More than, yeah, the city was occupied. The city had more than or about 1 million people because all people from the east were coming to Dresden to get further to the west, fleeing for the Red Army from the Russians. Yeah, that was in the beginning of 1945, yeah, when the Russian army was coming from the east. And so people were fleeing from that Russian army because the Russian front was coming down to Germany. And my mother also was a refugee. She was coming originally from Poland, and they were just by foot, just fleeing for the Russians. And also my grandma was being harassed by the Russians, but that's just a private thing that I don't want to talk about that now on the broadcast here. But I don't have anything against Russians. Yeah, I have Russian friends even, and so it is not people against people, but just states against states, and they're being used by the powers to be. Yeah, and that is the city of Dresden. And when you imagine there were about 800,000 to 1 million people there, and that is the city. Then after the bombing, you can imagine how many victims there were. To think about 20,000 victims out of 800,000 to 1 million, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's really crazy. Eyewitnesses said there were bodies molten. Yeah, about the excessive heat. Yeah, they have dropped so many special napalm bombs, so to speak, that people were burning actually. Yeah, and it's not easy to burn a human because of the amount of water in the body. Yeah, these people were burning about the extensive heat because of the sheer amount of this napalm bombs to fall. I think these were the Americans or the British. I can't remember now at the moment.
I think.
Yeah. Yes, but it's just war. You see that if you are a bomber pilot, you don't see any face down below here. Yeah, you see just do your order. You follow your orders. Yeah, you do your job. Yeah, and that's the same scenario, which looks strangely like a little bit of Hiroshima. Yeah. Yeah, because it's very strange. But if you look at that bank building here in Hiroshima, yeah, you see here some windows are not shattered.
I see.
How can that be?
Right.
Yeah, so that's a bomb who was strong enough to destroy houses built of stone. Yeah, but it's too weak to destroy the trees.
It's strange.
Yeah, so eyewitnesses are saying there were 200 to 400 airplanes dropping out napalm bombs, and that would be the same method they used in Dresden in Germany.
Really?
Yeah, it's B-29 bomber Stratofortress.
It's a big lie. It's a big, huge lie.
Yeah, but you can't talk about that because we will soon see that they have erected a censorship government in Japan quite after these things were happening. So to avoid people spreading out the real origin of all the things. Yeah. And so that is really strange. Yeah, you see, you have here bombs which are so smart. Yeah, and it has something to do with Mr. Einstein. Yeah, cats. Yeah, so it's absolutely it's a BS theory. Yeah, it does not stand the time. Yeah, yeah. So matter, which is now been developed into energy. Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. I thought about that formula actually, and I thought, oh yeah, it has something to do with Cenerat, something to do with speed. So C means speed to the square. And I said, oh, it has something to do with speed. So the energy depends on the speed rate. I have a counter argument against that. That would be a battery. Yeah, because a battery contains the same energy. Yeah, and it's just standing still. So you don't need any movement of the battery or any C of the battery. Yeah, so the energy is not dependent on the mass multiplied by the speed to the square. It's absolutely BS. Usually, really interesting and scientific people know about that. Yeah. Yeah, but you see, you can fool people if you make it very complicated. Yeah, but on the other hand, you see that these are no dumb people. These are smart people. But the problem is that these people are being deceived. Yeah, these people are being deceived. Yeah, you have to think about that. These things are containing hilarious destruction potential. Yeah, and you don't have to question everything, because if you question something, then you will put into jail. Yeah, you can't question the authorities. Yeah, so it's the same in every country. You can't question the authorities. Yeah, you see, they even use our example at Kennedy. Yeah, everybody knows that there is no magic bullet. Yeah, and this is just a belief system, and I will put my finger to that special image here with the so-called atom bomb, and because I found this.
If we back up for a second, Michael, and just talk about that fact that you just said, that you know, that when you talk about a magic bullet,
yeah,
you have to believe it. Well, that's a Freemason tactic, as far as I know. You know, it's like,
it's just a doctrine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a doctrine. You know, you have to follow their doctrine, and if you don't, they give you an example of what happens to you right here, don't they?
Yeah, but it's just,
you're in a powerful position, you lose your head. That's the end
that was not a killing, that was an execution.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It was just stating an example for all the people who are trying to dare to question the real authority. Yeah, and so therefore there is this one thing which I found in common between the Kennedy assassination and the atom bomb. Let us look that up in one of the next Kennedy sessions, maybe. Yeah, but at the moment it's quite hilarious, because everybody thinks, oh yeah, I've seen that mushroom here, yeah, and so therefore this is an atomic explosion. Yeah, okay. And then you see a hydrogen bomb, and you see something similar, and then you say, of course, this is a chain reaction or something like this, thermonuclear thing, and that's what you shall believe, because that's of course what they tell you. But as almost nobody has experienced that, only from the television. Yeah, so what's fact and what's fiction? Is that a real car, or is it just a toy? Yeah, and why is the camera not shaking?
Or is that a different type of explosive being used to film the car or the building or whatever it is looking at collapsing? You know, we don't have actual proof. We have to trust that they're showing us something that's legitimate. So
yeah, that's really the problem, that I don't doubt, and I don't doubt that there is some kind of radiation. Yeah, you see, the sun has radiation, and you have X-rays from your body, so radiation exists. But what about the fear potential of atomic bombs? Yeah, I don't doubt that there is some kind of reaction in nuclear power plants, yeah, because most of it actually is dissipating heat, and so therefore it is nothing more than, so to speak, on a major level, a very sophisticated, advanced steam machine. Yeah, but they just put you in fear with all that radiation, alpha, beta, gamma. Yeah, but once again, it's just a Catholic doctrine, and the atomist thing is just futile, because it is just a religion. And so therefore, the Catholic Encyclopedia says that the truth we proclaim under oath is relative and not absolute. Yeah, so they don't tell you the real truth.
They tell you a relative truth.
A relative truth. Yeah. And that's why I came up with that book that Chris has recommended me. It's called The Swarms of Locusts, a Jesuitical Attack on the Faith. Yeah, because of course, after they have been officially recognized by the papacy, especially in 1540, Regimini Militantis Ecclesiae, of course, they had all their means to their disposal to indoctrinate the people, not to educate the people, but to indoctrinate the people. Yeah, and in that book, it's been mentioned that Jesuits will claim you cannot trust your Bible. The King James Version is tainted by the Latin Vulgate and the Geneva, and earlier translations were tainted by Calvinism. Yeah, so these are, I don't know where the author has got the information, but these they are just claims. Yeah, God's word is not established in the Bible, but in heaven. And they said, okay, yeah, these scriptures are inerrant, and it's just the original word of God is just in the original manuscripts. Yeah, but it's a big club and you're not the member in it. Yeah, because it's just lost the original manuscripts and unavailable. Yeah, so we have to rely on their experts. Yeah, it's just the same in the religion as it is in science. You have to rely on experts. You can't have an opinion on your own just based on common sense. You have to have experts on every field. And that is not right. Yeah, because you have your senses. And if your senses are correct, yeah, then your senses are telling you that there is something to it. It can't be the way that they really try to teach, or in other words, to convince you. Yeah, there are counter arguments. For example, a certain Gail Windsor. The nuclear scam, it's called. It's a video. He was part of an atomic plant, so to speak, and he even was swimming in the cooling fluid. Yeah,
I think I've seen this before.
yeah.
I have a friend that looked into this.
Yeah, that's a nuclear scare scam. I can really recommend that video. It's very interesting. Yeah, and he's even saying that it is not that dangerous to your health. I know that he died, I think, about 1 year later, but he died not instantly. And he was saying, and he was showing that he was eating uranium. Yeah, and this very interesting video, you have to look it up. Yeah, you have a Geiger counter. Everybody knows that Geiger counter, but the problem is, what does that Geiger counter really measure? Yeah, and if that measures some kind of radiation, is that radiation really dangerous and hostile for your health? That's what they tell you. It's really fascinating stuff when you start keeping busy with that item. Yeah, it's really interesting. But my key point is that we can't rely on their so-called education, because it's just pure doctrine. It is just to scare the people into believing that, oh yeah, we need a powerful government to protect us from some evil powers who's got an atomic bomb, like the Soviet Union. Yeah, you see, all that stuff here from Kennedy, Cuba, Khrushchev crisis would not have as important as it is nowadays if atomic bombs would not be a threat. Yeah. So the question really is it a kind of spoof or is it not? And yeah, you can answer some of it. Really, you can answer that by using common sense. Yeah, by using common sense. And I'm eager to show that. Man eats uranium, drinks and swims in reactor water, ignites plutonium in his bare hand. Huh? That's a line, huh? That's a line. Yeah, the nuclear scare scam. This is really mind-blowing stuff, huh? Yeah. So I know that there is a certain so-called investigator which is promoting white supremacy, and I think that you all know who I mean. He says it's not possible to detonate these bombs because there is no mechanical or electronical device which can detonate in a bomb in a certain amount of height with the technology of the Second World War, if I remember correctly. Maybe Brett has also read that. I don't know.
No, I haven't.
You haven't. Okay, that's not a big deal. Yeah.
Well, because this author that you mentioned, I cannot read his book. I just can't.
Yeah. Okay.
For whatever reason, it's put together in such a way I don't really appreciate it.
There are many people actually are really researching that fact. Yeah, I'll just give you some clues here. Yeah, 2 frauds in one. Yeah, and so therefore it is really interesting that some people can really use their brains. Yeah. Yeah. Neither Akio Nakatani nor I am saying that nuclear power is fraught. The impossibility is in the explosive chain reaction that is needed to create a nuke as we know them. That's an interesting feat. That's an interesting claim here also. Yeah. Look at the ground zero under their feet. No crater, no Trinity glass. The desert is unfazed. It's just like the moonscape under the lunar mobile. No disturbance. This is an insult to our intelligences. Yeah, and this is also coming from Akio Nakatani, a professor of applied mathematics and statistics. Yeah, it's what it's all about. Yeah, it's really hard to say, but remember these remember these images of stuff disintegrating. Ever wondered how the camera stayed steady, never mind survived?
Good one.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, the cui bono in continuing the fraud is obvious, not only the money, but the fear that the powers to be do love so much to keep us under, yeah? Or entertained. At Hiroshima, not only no crater, but no bald spot, as there should be. Notice the poles still standing. Yeah? See Miles Mattis' essay wherein he proves this image and others were fakes. Yeah, so it could be a montage. It goes on and on and on. You see that it's really hard. Even I can remember of that picture, which is very hilarious because they're standing on the ground where a so-called atomic bomb has been exploded. Yeah, Trinity, United States. Yeah, so it must be very. So they're not using any protective gear. Yeah, except their feet. Oh my. Ah. Yeah, it's really also a relief if you go into this and you say that my, have I feared myself for decades about the atomic threat? Yeah, if maybe there is none, maybe these are just conventional bombs. Yeah, and it's just to fear the people. Yeah, so many people claim that after the Soviets found out that that was just a spoof by the Americans, they came up with their own atomic bomb because they knew that the Americans could not deny it because otherwise they would have fallen flat on their face.
Well, and the fact of the matter is that when you really look at it this way, you know, it's so overwhelming to the point where, you know, I think many of us that have gone to school and spent a lot of time studying, and you know, it just kind of destroys all of that knowledge, and it goes against what you've been working to grasp in that field or in that realm of study. So yeah, it's not that easy, is it, Michael?
Yeah, tell me how many images you see are fake. You see, it could also be CGI. Yeah,
Well,
that
when you
looks like
spend a bunch of money like they did with something called the Manhattan Project, and then you see how they spent all that money on putting a so-called man on the moon.
yeah, that's my point. That's my boy.
Yeah, then what?
Yeah, that looks like Close Encounter of the Third Kind, huh?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
That's my point. You see, that is happening far away on a desert island. Yeah, it's just like far away on the moon. Yeah, it's really a mess. Yeah, it's really a mess. This world is really a mess. Yeah, it's just unbelievable how many lies have been put up by Satan. Yeah, fake atomic bomb. Oh, that's a very good one. At least I remember what this is. You see that this is my folder here, fake atomic bomb. Eyewitnesses. Yeah, I got so much material about that. Yeah. This is a researcher called Anders Björkman. That's him. And this is a very long article which I can recommend about the US-Russian atomic A-bomb manipulations. Yeah, these fake A-bombs. Yeah, it's just it is almost never ending. Yeah, it is almost never ending. Yeah, there's a picture of the Bashi Bridge at Hiroshima with its T to the Memorial Park. Yeah, so that's the T crossing here. The bomb exploded just above it on 6 August 1945, soon after the trams running over the bridge were up and working again. Yeah, and so it goes on and on and on. You see that I can show you all this interesting stuff, and I can put you to all these people, and these people have made research for centuries even. Yeah, so it would be very easy to look up what they are telling you. Yeah, and look carefully. Look very carefully. What a bullshit. Fake photos, and so that you see, I can't go into every nitty-gritty, but the problem is really that that the powers to be are keeping the people busy with fear. It's the same situation as in 2019 and the so forth. Yeah. Yeah. We can show you one example. It's about the China syndrome. It's a 1979 American disaster thriller film directed and been played by Jane Fonda, Jack Lemmon, Michael Douglas. And it's about this nuclear power plant which had a failure. And that was a theatrical release on 1979, 12 days before the 3 Mile Island nuclear accident in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, which gave the film's subject matter an unexpected pre-science. It became a critical and commercial success. 12 days before the 3 Mile Island nuclear accident. I said, oh yeah, that is interesting. Let's go into that. So in that 3 Mile accident, they say that the top of the fuel rods had a problem, internally pressurized up to 1200 psi, and there was a conspiracy to shut it off, and etc., etc. And the 3 Mile Island accident was a so-called, this is official Wikipedia, official doctrine, a partial meltdown of a 3 Mile Island Unit 2 reactor in Pennsylvania. Yeah, which allowed large amounts of nuclear reactant coolant to escape. That's very strange, because I have remembered a few minutes ago that Mr. Galen Windsor was swimming in that reactor coolant fluid. Okay, but that is not now a threat. Okay, so you can look it up yourself. It is very interesting that important sentences coming up now. However, Wikipedia tells you, epidemiological studies analyzing the rate of cancer in and around the area since the accident determined there was not a statistically significant increase in the rate, and thus no causal connection linking the accident with these cancers has been substantiated. If you believe it. But you see that it's just a fancy of quantity kind of stuff. Yeah, but what's the real truth in it? Yeah, you see, what's the real truth in it? Oh, my, goes on and on and on here. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, so therefore, they don't want you to be energy independent, and so that you have to follow the government's guideline. Yeah. So even if you really think that you know anything, I think that we all know nothing. Yeah, and that is including us, including me. Yeah, so I don't know anything. But what I know is that there is some kind of common sense when you think about that, that these atomic bombs, Brads, are officially in use since 1945. So that is 77 years up to now. Can you imagine of something that occurred with one atomic bomb on the entire so-called planet? apart from these three things about, and apart from tests where nobody lives, yeah, not one A-bomb has been dropped.
That's right. Not one that we know of, yeah.
That we know of, yeah. And there is also a video of Marvin Minsky who thinks that the Hiroshima bomb was a hoax.
Wow.
Yeah, and these are not stupid people or conspiracy theorists. Yeah, Marvin Minsky. Was an American cognitive and computer scientist concerning largely with research of artificial intelligence, co-founder of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's AI Laboratory, and author of several texts concerning AI and philosophy. Yeah, so that is Marvin Minsky. His inventions include the first head-mounted graphical display and the confocal microscope. So that is that guy, and he's doubting the existence of atomic bombs in Hiroshima. And yeah, I'm on the same side, actually. I'm on the same side. Yeah. So that is a really interesting thing to go in, that you really know that it's just all about fear. Yeah, let not fear guide you. Let not fear guide you.
Fear of man bringeth a snare.
Mm-hmm. It gets worse when we get down to Japan and Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and all the other disasters soon. It gets really scary, so to speak. But just about fear-mongering. Huh? Maybe you remember this old 1950s advertisement, duck and cover from Bird to Turtle. Yeah. So when you see an atomic bomb, you just throw yourself on the floor and you cover your head. It's just duck and cover. Duck and cover. Yeah, they just speak you like you are just a child. Duck and Cover is a 1952 civil defense animated live action social guidance film. So they guide you how to behave properly. Yeah. And this is popularly mischaracterized as propaganda. Yes. Yeah, it is propaganda. Yeah. It's just the propaganda for the faith of the atomists. Or the powers to be. Yeah, school children in 1950. So that was mandatory that they see that they knew that when a lightning strikes, even in the garden bread, yeah, then you have to duck and cover.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is really that they are just indoctrinating people. Yeah. So they have to duck and cover. If that would, yeah, of course, you would not be thrown by some bursting windows or so. Yeah. Well, it's just to keep people in fear. Yeah. There's a big boogeyman outside, and it's just the atomic radiation, and you can't see it. Yeah. It's like the current situation. You can't see it. You have to believe it. You have to believe your government. You have to really believe your government. Yeah, but it's more easy to indoctrinate young children than grown adults. Although many grown adults behave as little children sometimes, especially when they're looking to the television. Yeah? You have to know what happens when an atomic bomb explodes. Yeah, sure. We hope it never comes. Brighter like the sun. Brighter than anything you have seen. Yeah, brighter than a Walt Disney cartoon. Yeah, this is horror for young people who really thinks there is something like somebody so powerful that he could blow up the entire world. Yeah, except Bird the Turtle. Yeah, you see, that is propaganda. Yeah, can you imagine that they have sprayed DDT on people? in the 40s or 50s. Yeah, that was also government measure. So they know what's best for you. They really know what's best for you. Yeah. Now the sound of sirens is coming on. Oh yeah, they have to go inside and they have to duck and cover, of course. Yeah, so people are being indoctrinated with all the fears. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh, that's a very good one. He's pushing the girl to the wall. Once again, please. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, so you can steer a nation into believing that the government is protecting you. Yeah, and that was also the same thing with Daisy. Yeah, what I talked about last time, the famous Daisy clip from LBJ. But unfortunately, I could not show it because there were also some restrictions. Yeah, so Daisy Girl, Little Peace Girl. Maybe we can show a still from that movie. I think that's possible. Yeah, so there's an advertisement to keep people into fear, into voting for Lyndon B. Johnson. He can protect you about the fear of nuclear explosions. And of course, you use a very nice young child, yeah, so that people say that, oh my, this poor child has been then maybe the victim of an atomic threat, yeah. And they're counting down, and oh, it's so disgusting, yeah, that they're just fearing the people. Yeah, where God's children can live. Yeah, to make a world. Yeah, sure. LBJ is there to make a world where God's people can live. You have to believe it. And that was one of the advertisements which they issued at the propaganda team from Lyndon B. Johnson. And he was the president who had the biggest amount of votes, I think, for all the elections in all the American history. Yeah. It was a landslide, Lyndon then. It was a landslide victory. Yeah? With fear mongering.
Michael, I can't help but comment because before you contacted me this morning, I was reading the next chapter in this book, The Seventh Vial, where it's speaking of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about fearing the beast. They're filling us full of fear, so we're fearful of the beast, not fearful of God. So the beast is controlling this world through Satan. So Satan is in control of the beast. That should be obvious.
Yeah.
It really should be obvious.
Sure. If you have fear, then you don't trust God. Yeah, more or less.
If you have fear of man, yes.
Yeah,
because
God is in
the
control.
beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. So
yeah, do you really think that God would allow that somebody is destroying his entire creation by putting up some so-called atomic bombs and this arsenal? Yeah, you see that that's really a tough question.
yeah, it is. But there's also power given to the beast. And, you know, it's very interesting how in that book, The Seventh Vial, James Aiken Wiley says that the dragon is the symbolically speaking the pagan Roman Empire, pagan Rome. So it's very interesting how that works and how that plays into the threats that are, that we're witnessing today, including this.
Yeah. Every generation is getting their threats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So this is Death Object. Is also a very interesting work of that Japanese guy. Yeah. Conspiracy. Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. Trickery is the way of war from Sun Tzu. Trickery, huh? Remember Sun Tzu?
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Jesuits.
Mm-hmm.
That could be Sun Tzu never existed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. It's just an alias like Shakespeare. So
Right.
yeah, and also it's very interesting when they call their bombs Satan too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like going way back to the Grecian Empire. Who was it in Greece that was so venerated, Michael, that all the sciences, well, who was that again?
Socrates or what?
Yeah, Socrates.
Okay, Socrates. Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
Kind of like Democratus, huh? Democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Incredible. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Have you ever heard of this show called Democracy Now?
No.
I thought we should do a spoof on that.
Mm-hmm.
Democritus Now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you see, you got a bunch of explanations, but you see that you have to look it out on your own. You will be busy a very long time. The trouble that I got is that we can't prove anything. Yeah, so that means that you have to believe. Yeah, it's just another religion. You have to believe because you can't prove it. Yeah, you don't have any atom bombs at your disposal, and you can't prove it. Yeah. So you can't rely on your Geiger meter because what does a Geiger meter measure? Then some things who are occurrent, but who are happening, yeah, some processes, but it's just not maybe not poisoning or just not very dangerous. Yeah. So that's a problem that we have. You have to rely on that so-called scientists, yeah, who then are explaining to us what is what, yeah. Yeah, so there's certain amount, certain kind of radiation, for example. Yeah? Henry Becquerel discovered almost by accident, you have to believe that, that uranium can blacken a photographic plate even in the dark. So there is energetic radiation. It is radioactive, but it is emitting radiation, which means it is active emitting. This is radioactive. Yeah, so he got a Nobel Prize in 1903. Yeah, and all the other so-called scientists are then following that, and there were other parts of radiation being developed or not developed but discovered. Yeah, and the problem is that you can't just prove anything because it is forbidden to possess any radioactive material, especially here in Germany, where almost everything is forbidden, but to work and to obey. Yeah, and so you see, you can get busy your entire day and week and year, but the problem is that you don't have any time for the Bible left, and that's why I would like to get back to the track and to point a finger to the things that are really interesting. You see, this Geiger-Müller counters is just the instrument who measures radioactive decay by registering the ions and electrons produced as a radioactive particle passes through a gas-filled chamber. Yeah, but there are certain kinds of radiation. So how do I know when the Geiger meter is tick, 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 counting? That is dangerous. Maybe it is just natural radiation like the sun. I don't know. Yeah. So many people assume that the ticking of a Geiger counter means danger. Oh, the danger is coming nearer, it's coming nearer, the frequency is rising, it's coming nearer, oh, protect me. Yeah, have some lead shielding or so. Yeah, you can't know. Yeah, some people can eat uranium, which has been measured before by a Geiger counter, hands off Mr. Windsor. Yeah, so to detect some radioactive process does not mean it is dangerous for your health. That's at the moment my research. Yeah, it's also the C14 thing. Yeah, it's also a lie. Yeah, this is a lie. 4.5 billion years. Yeah, you know what? This is all just science. This is not knowledge. It's just a science church. Yeah, that's what I try to tell you. This is just not an easy subject.
These are theories. They're theories that are being forced upon us without our consent, and you have no choice. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. Yeah, and they are not alone. Yeah, they are really not alone. Yeah, you see, we
have the power of Satan behind them, Michael.
Ever heard of the band Kraftwerk?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did the same with radioactivity. Yeah, Harrisburg, Hiroshima, etc., etc. The famous song "Radioactivity" is in the air for you and me. Yeah, but you can't see it. It's just like a. I don't want to say the word. Yeah, it's like a special bacteria. Huh? Radioactivity. Yeah, and so that means that also the artists called Kraftwerk are promoting the fear of radioactivity. Yeah? Sellafield 2 will produce 7.5 tons of plutonium every year. 1.5 kilograms of plutonium make the nuclear bomb. Yeah. Will cause death and skin cancer.
Right.
Yeah. But what do they know? Yeah, you see that Brett has said the fear of man bringeth the snare. Yeah, and people were fearing in the Cold War, so to speak, about an atomic war because there were the so-called two superpowers, USA on the one hand and the Soviet Union on the other hand, or Kennedy against Khrushchev or what else. They were promoting the fear of an atomic war, which would, of course, destroy the entire city, state, country, planet, what else. Yeah, and also it's very interesting to realize that children have been indoctrinated with a monster called Godzilla. Yeah, about an iconical fictional monster that is a gigantic, irradiated dinosaur transformed from the fallout of an H-bomb test. Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, that they are just creating monsters, nuclear weapons, and then a broken cross, and which is not a peace symbol and not a nuclear threat. Yeah, the now familiar peace symbol was originally specifically anti-nuclear weapons icon. Oh my.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 25 that we were citing, and that is, the fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso put his trust in the Lord shall be saved.
Mm. Yeah. That's what I don't teach them in school.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They want to have the people under their thumb, you see, under control, with fear. Yeah.
They want the fear of man.
What was the pest?
Sin. They want in abundance, you know.
Yeah. Once it was the pest and the sentence to be excommunicated. Then it was a war. Yeah. So then it was the Cold War, and now it's a war against something that we can't see. It's like radiation with a V, variation. No. Yeah. So that is an atomic bomb. Yeah. Yeah, and this is Godzilla, the king of monsters. So it has been originated and modeled after an atomic bomb test or an H-bomb test. And that means it's coming from Japan. Japan, wasn't that the country where the only two atom bombs who have ever been ignited outside the United States of America? That was Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And from that country, you get the king of monsters, for the little children, because they have to know the threats of atomic waste and radiation and all that. That is the meaning of Godzilla. Yeah. And that's the instructor of Godzilla, not by accident. He's got, a strangely indicated left eye, left-hand path. Yeah, so leftism, something with left, so evil. Huh? Yeah, and that means King Kong versus Godzilla, 1962. Yeah, they meet to fight for survival of the fittest. Yeah, so Godzilla against King Kong is a part of Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. It's the survival of the fittest. It's simple. It's very simple. You know that these are all actors within some rubber skin suit here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting. You see that it's called Godzilla. So it's a god. That's the English translation. Originally, it is Gorilla, a fictional monster. Yeah. But for the international use, it's Godzilla. So it's a god. It's a king. Yeah? It's a god and it's a king. Yeah. The god is called Zilla, and Zilla is the king. Yeah. It's a god. Yeah, an enormous sea monster awakened and empowered by nuclear radiation with the nuclear bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the Lucky Dragon 5 incident still fresh in the Japanese consciousness. Godzilla was conceived as a metaphor for nuclear weapons. Others have suggested that Godzilla is a metaphor for the United States, a giant beast woken from its slumber, which then takes terrible vengeance on Japan. Oh yeah, I know that some people have taken the United States as a second beast.
This statement is so full of holes. Prehistoric. What is prehistoric? You know,
Yeah, I know.
this is the biggest bunch of BS. Pardon my French, but man, I'm serious. Prehistoric. That's before the deluge. They can't tell you that. Oh, because if they told you that, you might start thinking about the flood.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that in the Asian philosophy and religions, the dragon is a lucky animal depicted for luck? Yeah, what is the dragon depicted for in the Bible?
Yeah, right. That's
Yeah.
what we were just talking
It's
about
Satan,
in James Aiken Wiley's book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, these are the methods of the beast. And what is luck anyway? Doesn't that come from Lucifer? L-U-C?
Yeah, lucky Lucifer. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only luck on
He's
this
lucky.
earth. Yeah.
Wait until you die, and then you face your almighty God. And then you call that luck, huh?
Yeah, my point actually, Brett, is that we have to really see that as a kind of an indoctrination.
Absolutely. That's the problem, Michael. It's like every time we use that word mission, why would we use that word when we know it's a Jesuit word?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I read a book and that comes up where we start speaking about the mission, it's just, I want to gag.
Yeah, the thing is that you really see there are some accidents. You have to believe that it took place in the fishing boat with a crew of 23 men, which was contaminated by nuclear fallout from the United States Castle Bravo thermonuclear weapon test at Bikini Atoll. So they, of course, they need some kind of proof, and that is the proof that it's a fisher boat with 23 men. I don't know what happened there. I really don't know, but it's called a Lucky Dragon. Lucky Dragon. Yeah. Really, you know, yeah, that this entire atom bomb thing has been coming from more or less the church. The church. And then this church is using some tests on a desert island. And out of a sudden, there is a fisher boat which is contaminated. Yeah, and you have to believe that story. Yeah, and that fisher boat by accident is called Lucky Dragon 5. Oh, Brett.
Coincidence?
Coincidence. Pure coincidence. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you see, especially when you know that there was a Japanese censorship department. Yeah, censorship in Japan. I think it was the CCD or so. Wasn't it? Civil Censorship Detachment was created within the Civil Intelligence section of the Supreme Commander for the Allied Powers. It exercised considerable influence over the operation and administration of the American occupation of Japan after World War II. And if you then know that that contained also the punishment of jail or worse, for people who have then denied the existence of atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah, and then you take that into consideration here when you read about the incident allegedly took place with the Lucky Dragon 5 fisher boat. Yeah, so that put all into context on one page for comparison reasons. Come on. Yeah. So you got the Godzilla, so the fictional character of a big monster originated by a nuclear explosion. And then you got out of a sudden a Lucky Dragon incident, which happened here in Japan in 1954. Yeah, 1954. You see that is very close to the movie, with a crew of 23 men who were contaminated by a nuclear fallout from that Bikini Atoll on 1954, which many people are doubting that it was a fraud. Yeah, so, but to prove the fraud or to prove the existence of their nuclear fallout, they have then the proof of these 23 men in the Lucky Dragon 5. Yeah, Lucky Dragon 5. We know that dragon is a depiction of Satan. Yeah, and when you then know that after the Second World War, there is a civil censorship department created within the civil intelligence section in Japan, whose rules are that you cannot question the authority when it comes to the atomic nuclear threat exposition and all the things surrounding the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah, and then you make up your mind whom to believe. That is all a mere coincidence here. Yeah, you can believe that is a coincidence. Yeah, but Godzilla was being seen as a metaphor for nuclear weapons. Yeah. Or a metaphor for the United States. Okay. But, and now is the but. Godzilla's exact origins vary, but it is generally depicted as an enormous, violent, prehistoric sea monster awakened and powered by nuclear radiation. So that is very important that the young people know that nuclear radiation can kill you, because, of course, Godzilla, so the Godzilla, can kill you. Although the specific details of Godzilla's appearances have varied slightly over the years, the overall impression has remained consistent. Inspired by the fictional Redosaurus created by animator Ray Harryhausen for the film The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Fathoms is, it's an indication of depth in sea, like Mark Twain. Godzilla's characteristic design was conceived as that of an amphibious reptilian monster based around the loose concept of a dinosaur. Who most likely have never existed, because if I remember Jörg Lissmann correctly, then he said that dinosaur appeared first in the encyclopedia in the 19th century, with an erect standing posture, scaly skin, and anthropomorphic torso with muscular arms, low bony plates around its back and tail, and a furrowed brow. Yeah, watch out, the beast is coming. That is the originator of Godzilla, which even came from Warner Brothers. Remember Warner Brothers, James Dean, Brett, yeah? Warner Brothers, Freemasons. Yeah, so that's a Freemason beast from 20,000 Fathoms, yeah, from 1953. So it was slightly before Godzilla. Is of course a fictional dinosaur, has something to do with an atomic bomb test now in the Arctic Circle. Yeah, so of course where nobody lives. Yeah, the destruction comes down to New York City, and that's later on has inspired the god of Zilla. Yeah, and the plot is far north of the Arctic Circle. I said, you know who lives in the north? I want to go to the congregation of the north, is Isaiah 14, Satan?
Yeah.
Where God resides in the north? Yeah. Yeah. So that is your American monster. The beast destroys a lighthouse, or has something to do with enlightenment here. My. Yeah, preceding Godzilla by 16 months. The Redosaurus was originally planned. Yeah.
Let me quick get that verse down. Isaiah 14:13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. So yeah, that is a reference directly to Satan, or rather Lucifer, however you want to look at it, sitting in sitting upon the mount of the congregation. So that means, yeah, convincing the Christians that he's legitimate, just as it's predicted in the books of both, I think, Daniel and Revelation, right? So, yeah, good point, Michael.
Yeah, and originally it was planned that your American monster was breathing an atomic flame similar to Godzilla's atomic heat beam. Aha. Aha. Yeah, so now we're getting close. Yeah, now we're getting close to the real purpose of Godzilla. Yeah, now skipping everything. So Godzilla's atomic heat beam. Yeah, you see? Whoosh. Yeah, like Superman. Yeah? Yeah, but Godzilla has an atomic heat beam, as shown in Godzilla 1954. So that was the first movie here. Godzilla battles King Kong in King Kong versus Godzilla. Yeah, you see that is just a battle of what is said here again, Charles Darwin. Yeah? It's just a battle. Who's the survival of the fittest? Yeah. This film attracted to the highest Japanese box office attendance figures in the entire Godzilla series to date. Yeah, so Japanese monster against American monster or African monster. Ah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You lose a bit of fear when you look upon that picture here. Yeah, but yeah, Godzilla versus Destroyer. Sure, yeah, Apollyon. And since 2014, there are no real people inside the Godzilla puppet, but the character was portrayed entirely via computer graphic images, so everything is fake now. And Godzilla even has a star, a satanic star, or the Dragon 5, Lucky Dragon 5. Huh? Yeah.
How fitting, huh?
Yeah, Godzilla has been considered a filmographic metaphor for the United States as well as an allegory of nuclear weapons in general. Yeah, and you see here now Godzilla has also a brother, a mechanical brother, or artificial intelligent brother is Mecha, mechanical Godzilla. Yeah, it's so hilarious. Yeah, and so you see this is Godzilla's all-atomic breath. And just by incidence, it is just the colors of blue and red bread. Oh.
Yeah.
Nothing
well,
to
what
do.
does blue and red make? It makes purple.
Yeah, but it's just by incidence, just the flags of the two American parties, and just by incidence, colors who are just been famously for Freemasonry. But what do I know? What do I know?
Yeah.
They could have taken also yellow and green, but no, it must be blue and red. Yeah. Godzilla represented the fears that many Japanese held about the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the possibility of recurrence. Yeah, sure, that is also the reason and the purpose of the propaganda and also the central civilship department, the censoring department, so that people shall not know the truth, but they have to fear all the propaganda lies been putting down on them by their governments. And now all around the world. Yeah, that is the purpose of the civil censorship detachment, that you censor the truth. What do you think they censor when it is a satanic world? They censor the truth. Yeah, so
you're not allowed to know the truth, Michael. Just think about it. The truth is power.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what I just wanted to show you, that even the youngsters have been indoctrinated with all the stuff. And if you want to tell the truth in Japan, at least after the Second World War, when 1945, when the World War was over, people could not dare to talk about it. Yeah, they would have been punished. Yeah, you can read it on several websites. Yeah, and so it is. And so it is, of course, this is a difference between then and now. Yeah, you see all these Godzillas lined up here with their atomic breath. Yeah, and usually Godzilla is getting bigger and bigger and bigger over time. Yeah, Godzilla is considered the original radioactive superhero due to his accidental radioactive origin story predating Spider-Man. Spider-Man has also something to do with the laboratory. Spider-Man also being, if you want to see it that way, as a transhuman character. He's only half human. He's also a spider, like a web, like the international web, internet. Huh? Godzilla was also voted the most popular movie monster in the Monster Times poll in 1973, beating Count Dracula, King Kong, the Wolfman, the Mummy, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and the Frankenstein monster. Yeah, so he's world famous, the Godzilla. They have even statues in Japan. You don't believe me? You don't have to believe me. Godzilla statue, Japan. There must be, I don't know how much. Huh? Sure. It's a god. What do you suppose? It's just images and idols everywhere. Check out Tokyo's new Godzilla statue. Yeah, it's a national anthem. Bow down. Yeah. Yeah, and that's how they get the people. Spielberg said that Godzilla was an inspiration for Jurassic Park. Yeah, and also an inspiration for people like Martin Scorsese. Oh. Yeah, that's the thing with Godzilla. You see that they are using all this suppression, they are using all the censorship to come up with all these allegations that there is a threat, actually. Yeah, so that's it. That's it. And next time, I think we have to go about some book recommendations about this nuclear threats, because I think that we have seen enough for today, that we see that it's just a psychological propaganda machine that is brainwashing, actually, what they are doing with the people. Yeah, and that's my problem with it. Yeah. You see, the problem that I got with it is that these people are actually trying to manipulate people into creating fear. And that is the same method that they are using all over again in 2019. Yeah, now it is not the atomic threat about radiation, which nobody can see, but you can measure it on a Geiger counter, but you don't know what you measure on a Geiger counter. And now it is just the fear about a disease. Which is not isolated until this very day. So I hope we can continue next time when we go into the incidents which happened, and then I think you will very much be embarrassed and being surprised what is about to come, because once again it has something to do, or much to do, with religion. And this is not science, people, this is religion. So science is a religion, because if you can't prove science, if there are no facts, then it is just religion. It is a science religion, the science church. Yeah, that's what I found when I was looking for it. This is a site where I have a big problem with. All religions are a big program. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, etc., are one cult, the cult of Saturn. Yeah, you see that is, of course, absolutely BS. Yeah, but there are also some good things to look upon. The science church. Yeah, the science church is a corrupt establishment of scientists who pretend to care about truth and science while they serve the totalitarian regime of a corrupt elite promoting unscientific dogmas like the Big Bang Theory, Darwinism, relativity theory in the media industry, History Channel of Disney, etc. It's closely associated and interwoven with the corrupt education system of the Jesuits. The most visible priests of the science church are Charles Darwin, Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, Carl Sagan, Richard Dawkins, Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Michio Kaku, etc. Almost no scientific research is done by independent scientists, only technical research for applications sponsored by companies. It is often used as an antagonist of the New Age church. Yeah,
that's a good summary there.
Yeah, the priests of the science, I said that is a distraction site because it keeps you away from the Bible, because it tries to destroy your faith in the Bible and Jesus Christ by putting out that Christianity is a is a cult of Saturn. But on the other hand, it focused primarily on these just items and all these artists, and that is a very good thing. But of course, the intention, I think, of this website is to distract you from the Bible.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can use that same example and apply it to other, what can we say, films. There was a film called Zeitgeist. Do you remember that? I
Heard
think
of,
many
yeah.
of our listeners do. I'll tell you, I had the strangest thing happen. I ran out of gas, and I was on the freeway, and I had to walk to the nearest gas station and get a gas can and fill it with gas and go back and fill up my truck. And it just so happened I was on the phone with a good friend of mine at the time, and I was just talking with him, and I completely lost track of what I had in my gas tank. But anyway, when I got to the gas station, this guy writes down on a card and he says, "You got to watch this movie. When you get home, you got to watch this movie." It was Zeitgeist. I watched it and I was like, "What is this? How strange." Because it's the same kind of analogy, just as Michael explained with this website that he got this this brief little summary of the science as a new religion. I mean, there are things that make sense in some of these instances, but it doesn't mean everything is true. You eat the meat, you spit out the bones, right, Michael? Just that simple.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is that magic? They're scientists in the old days. These were the priests and scribes. Yeah, these were the science. These were the people who are knowing anything. But nowadays, it's just as this website correctly points out, the education system is an indoctrination system.
Yeah, it's like Matthew 23. The scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses'
seat. Yeah.
Yeah. All they, observe everything. I gotta have it in front of me to read it verbatim.
Yeah.
I can't just.
Understandable.
I've almost memorized it. I've had it memorized.
Understandable, yeah. But the real point of the nitty-gritty is that you can't rely on any source. You have to do your own research. And if your own research is based on the Bible, then you see all the lies and the distraction, and it's just a tool of the governments to scare the people, actually.
Michael,
and
I have it in front of me right now, and I'll just quick read it.
Yeah, please just wait for me. It was Matthew.
Yes, Matthew 23, verse 1 through 5. Oh, no, let's go a little further. 7. Let's go to 7. Okay, so when you're ready.
Yeah, I got it on the screen.
Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore, whatsoever they bid you, observe, that observe and do, but do not after their works. For they say and do not, for they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and they lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi, which means teacher. Yeah, but be ye not called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all ye are brethren. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. Yep, but he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. Yeah, Michael, really gets down to that.
But in this world you only got the hierarchy. You got the student, you got the teacher, you got the doctor, you got the professor, you got the minister, you got the president. You see, it's all about hierarchy here.
But it's all about submission, Michael, because once you have had the ability to declare your own, what can we say, household, and you can get out of all of that. You can study on your own, study to show yourself approved, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, right? We know this scripture. So yeah, it's all a matter of are you going to let people frame this argument for you, and you're going to fall right into that trap and stay in that trap the rest of your life? Do you want that? You don't have to have that. That's the point. Because I do believe, Michael, we are called to be servants, and we are to serve our brethren. And there is no hierarchy. Not in God's kingdom. Maybe on this earth there is. So yeah, if you want the worldly riches and fame and fortune and all that, well, then you bow down to that beast, don't you? You have to. It's your job. Your livelihood depends on bowing down to the beast and making an open show of it so everyone must follow. Makes perfect sense. Does to me, Michael. Thank you, Michael, for your presentation today, and I really appreciate all of the different aspects that you bring into this, especially your perspective on, you know, what is really happening with all of this information, how we've been completely misled on purpose. So looking forward to continuing in the script with Michael. And I think that's all I got to say, Michael. Is there anything final words?
Thank you for your time, Brad, and thanks, dear listeners, for bearing with me, and I hope to see you next time. Maranatha.
Maranatha.